Welcome to the Murfreesboro City Council. It is June 18th, and Councilman Shacklett or Vice Mayor Shacklett has our prayer and our pledge.
Thank you, Mayor. Join me in prayer, please. Lord, we thank you for this day and for the many blessings that you've given us. Lord, we thank you for this wonderful country that we live in and this beautiful state and this special community. Lord, we thank you for the folks that labor on every day after day to make this community the community that it is. For all our first responders, for our military, for all those folks that do the work of creating the quality of life that we enjoy here in Murfreesboro. Lord, we pray in this meeting tonight you would give us discernment, you would give us compassion, and you would give us wisdom that we might do that which you would have us do that would further this community. And Lord, just thank you for us. But thank you for all that have gathered here this evening. Help us, dear Lord, to do the work that's before us responsibly. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Y'all want to come up here with the art, please? Okay. Tonight's a big night that we get to recognize an extremely important program that we have in Murfreesboro. Whereas the arts enrich the cultural, educational, and economic vitality of the city of Murfreesboro and foster creativity, connection, and community engagement. Whereas the Murfreesboro Art League, founded in 1966, is proudly celebrating its 60th anniversary, making 6 decades of fostering creativity, supporting local artists, and enriching the cultural landscape of Murfreesboro and Rutherford County. And whereas the Murfreesboro Art League has demonstrated a long-standing and consistent commitment to encouraging and supporting local artists in the expression of their creativity while providing meaningful opportunities to exhibit original works for the appreciation, enrichment, and cultural advancement of the community. And whereas the Murfreesboro Art League promotes artistic expression through exhibitions, educational programs, workshops, and community outreach initiatives that inspire residents and visitors alike. Whereas recognizing the contributions of the Murfreesboro Art League highlights the importance of the arts in building a vibrant, inclusive, and thriving community. Now, therefore, I, Shane McFarland, of the Mayor of the City of Murfreesboro, on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of June as Murfreesboro Art League in the City of Murfreesboro and encourage all residents to celebrate and support the arts by participating in local events, visiting exhibitions, and recognizing the invaluable contribution of artists and art organizations throughout our community. Congratulations. All right, let's move to our consent agenda. You have 9 items on our agenda. Is there anything that needs to be removed for discussion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Saberwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gills Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklett.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, we'll now move to land use matters. We have ordinance 25 OZ 28, rezoning property along East Pitts Lane. This is second and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a double second.
Ms. Saberwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gills Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklett.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, let's move to item 11, ordinance 26 OZ 18, rezoning for property along Northwest Broad Street. This is second and final reading.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Ms. Overwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, let's move to item 12, ordinance 26OZ17, rezoning property along Gresham Lane. This is second and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Ms. Overwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, let's move to item 13, ordinance 26OZ12, rezoning property along Memorial Boulevard, and this is second and final reading.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Ms. Overwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, we'll move to ordinance 26OZ19. This is a PRD zoning amendment for property along Las Casas Pike.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Ms. Overwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, let's move to ordinance 26OZ20, rezoning property along Monroe Street and East Castle Street. This is second and final reading.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, wow.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Ms. Overwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, now we can move to new business. We have item 16, the United Way Family Resource Center use agreement. Director Duke, Dr. Duke.
Good evening. Tonight, we are requesting your approval for a use agreement between the city schools and the United Way of South Central Tennessee to establish a family resource center at Mitchell Nilsson Elementary School. The purpose of this partnership is to better support our families and students by connecting them with the community resources, support services, and programs that help remove barriers to student success. Under this agreement, the United Way would utilize designated office space on the Mitchell Nilsson campus through June 30th with the option to renew. The district would provide the space and basic utilities, while United Way would be fully responsible for staffing, supplies, equipment, insurance, and all operating expenses related to the center. The Board of Education approved this agreement at its June 9th meeting. The initiative has minimal financial impact on the district and does not require any additional funding. We believe this partnership will strengthen the support system around our students and families, and we respectfully request your approval. I appreciate your consideration and happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Director Duke?
We heard about this at the last school board meeting, and it just sounds like a real innovative approach to helping a particular area. And I think we chose the right place to do this. Have the facilities there that can be used, and I vote for approval.
Second.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Ms. Overwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, let's move to item 17, purchase and installation agreement for Miracle League turf at David Price Miracle Fields.
It's hard to believe that 9 years has gone by with the Miracle League, but we was told our field would last 7 years, so I applaud staff for taking care of it and getting 9 out of it. But it is time and new technologies. We like to put turf down. There's only 2 companies that are certified to install Miracle Field with their strict guidelines. We selected the one that was the best fit for us. It just happened to be a little bit cheaper. But the contract's for $191,065, and we ask your approval for that.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Ms. Overwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye.
I want to thank you not only for the approval of redoing the field, but I want to thank the council for the vision they demonstrated 10 years ago. When we built it, it was just a field. Right now, it's much, much greater. With the support of the council, funding of programs and staff, there are opportunities that exist now that did not for individuals with disabilities and their families. Today, Murfreesboro is recognized across the state and the nation for the Miracle Field as a model for Special Olympics and our Advantage fitness and sports programs. But more importantly, what we created was a culture of inclusion. With our buddy programs and our weekly activities, individuals with disabilities are forming friendships that go beyond the ball field. They bleed into our schools, our neighborhoods, and our homes. Individuals with disabilities are not simply served. They're known, they're valued, and they're celebrated as part of our community. When you thought you were funding a ball field, what you created was a stronger community. And a place where people can come of all abilities, belong, friendships flourish, and inclusion is simply part of who we are. So on behalf of the families, the athletes, the volunteers, and most importantly, the staff, thank you.
Thank you, Thomas.
Great job.
All right, we could just adjourn after that one. So
I know.
I'm totally fine with that. That you drive past Miracle Field, and that's one you look at that there's not many times that we can say we got that one right, but we got that one right. So thank y'all for what y'all do out there. And more importantly, the amount of pictures that we see on a weekly basis where you've got local ball teams, our police department, our fire department, all kids throughout our community who are out there participating with those who are playing. It's a big deal. So thank you, Thomas. All right, let's move to True North Geographic Technologies, LLC work order. This is our one amendment. Ms. Green, follow that.
I can't, but I do have exciting news. As you know, a couple years ago, I transitioned from the planning department to the IT department to help implement software that the city has, CityWorks PLL, and PLL stands for Permitting, Licensing, and Land. Last year in September, we updated our master service agreement and created a work order 1 for the implementation of workflows in the development services department. We have been working diligently on those and made a significant amount of progress. Since then, we have put approximately 75% of the workflows identified into production, and many of our departments are using it. For example, our plats and plans review process is now in CityWorks, and it also utilizes DigiPlan, which is our electronic plans review software. So the Building and Codes Department just this year has, I wrote down just 246 plans, and the year is about halfway through, that they have submitted for their commercial plans review. The final plat, site plan, construction plans, and preliminary plat went live in April. And since that time, there have been 36 site plans, 3 preliminary plats, 17 final plats, and 10 construction plans that have been submitted for review. So our departments are off to a great start. Additionally, the Public Infrastructure Department, Engineering and Transportation are now issuing permits, whereas before we had to filter all permits through the Building and Codes Department. With this new software, we can enable departments to be able to review and issue those permits themselves. So the grading permits, land disturbance permits, right-of-way permits went active on May the 4th with the Public Infrastructure Department, and they have 90 permits in total, so 73 right-of-way permits and 12 land disturbance permits. So it's actively being used. We're all learning this together. It's an exciting time. The work order that we have was set with an expiration date at the end of June, and the request that we have before you is to amend that work order. We're not asking for any more money. So far, we are below budget. But what we are asking is for you to extend the date on that. Were you making eye contact when I said we're below budget? We are asking for you to extend the date from the end of June to the end of year to finish. We have only 8 remaining workflows left. And so when I say workflows, it's each case that you put in the software is considered a workflow. So 1 permit, 1 plans review process, and the work order that we had originally approved with the City Council specifically outlined all the cases that would be. So the planning department had 11 workflows, public infrastructure 3, and building codes 31. So we have been taking these down at a pretty significant pace and getting staff comfortable with using it. They're still working through that. To say that we only have 8 remaining is a pretty significant win, and we appreciate the True North's partnership with this. They help us get those implemented, but the thing that I'm most proud of, and if I have an opportunity to stand before you, I want to say it, is the strong team that we've built internally. We have a strong IT team where we're trying to learn things and do them internally rather than relying solely on consultants, but also we have our members of the staff that are taking ownership of the project and leading it. And so I would want to take this opportunity just to tell you, I appreciate that the investment you've made in our staff, because it's really paying off. So the request for you is to amend the work order, or to approve the work order 1 amendment, which will only change the date.
Second.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Ms. Overwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris. Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wade. Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Great work, Margaret Ann.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Mayor,
Margaret
if I may, they have been doing a great job and at a pace of one workflow per week. And so it has been, that's on top of continuing to process, development services processing plan submittals or, development submittals. And so this is really work on top of what I call making the donuts. They still got to make the donuts, and this is work on top of that. So they've done an outstanding job. Margaret Ann has been great. IT support's been great. And everybody in the planning department, building codes, have embraced the change in a favorable way, and we've not had anybody actively disengaged. So it's been a great team effort.
Is that frosting the donuts?
I'm sorry?
Frosting?
Frosting on the, yes, this is the frosting on the donuts, yes.
Great work, Margaret Ann. Thank you. All right, let's move to the purchase of insurance coverages. Mr. McGee.
Mr. Mayor, Council, good evening. Staff requests council approval to purchase and renew the city's fiscal year 27 insurance program, which includes liability, vehicle, physical damage, and catastrophe and workers' compensation through PEP. Also, property, cyber, crime, pollution, and liquor liability coverages through our broker Gallagher. The proposed program reflects a 3.9% increase in premiums from the year prior. Some key updates. This program includes an addition of our policy, pollution liability coverage, and expanded cyber insurance limits, which strengthens the city's overall risk protection. The total fiscal year 27 program cost is $3.595 million. This total program cost 12.3% higher than last year. The higher overall program cost is primarily due to the increase in self-insurance retention rate levels from PEP's adjustments. I have a member from the Gallagher to ask questions if it need be. The recommendation is approval of the motion to buy, excuse me, to buy in coverage and authorize payment for the fiscal year 27 program.
Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Ms. Overwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye. I had a question. Let me ask a question, then I'll say aye. What was the percentage? You mentioned the percentage, and I wanted.
The premium increase is 3.9% increase,
Okay.
but the
I heard
total
12 in there somewhere.
program increase is 12.3%.
I got you. Okay. Well,
Yeah.
aye. Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, let's move to the annual city paving and concrete and storm drainage contract renewals. Ms. Stacy.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Tonight, I am bringing to you the renewal of 3 annual contracts, 2 city paving contracts with Wiregrass Construction and Hawkins Asphalt Paving, and our concrete and storm drainage contract with Rollins Excavating. These paving contracts were originally awarded in June of 2023, and the concrete and drainage contract was awarded in May of 2024. All 3 are structured for annual renewal every 4 years, contingent on mutual agreement. This request represents the 3rd renewal for our city paving contracts and the 2nd renewal for the concrete and storm drainage contract. Each contract includes a price adjustment tied to the consumer price index for the upcoming year, and that results in a 3.8% increase in unit pricing across all 3. These contracts are essential for resurfacing our city streets, maintaining and improving storm drainage infrastructure, and continuing sidewalk improvements throughout the city. Funding these contracts is primarily coming from the state street aid, totaling in around $3.75 million, with an additional $750,000 from the stormwater user fee supporting the drainage work. Staff recommends approval of all three contracts, and I am happy to answer any questions you have.
I'll just make a comment before
Sure.
I make a motion. Street department does a great job. I know that, if people are going to complain about something, they usually complain about the roads. Not having enough of them, and then they complain about potholes or it needs to be repaved. And I'm not trying to create work for you, but I've had two constituents that have reached out, voiced concerns about a portion of their street or a pothole or something. And if you see that, relay it, the street department will go out there and investigate it, and they get on it. And
We try to be as proactive as possible when it comes to anyone that's having an issue and they call in. We really try to work together and be as proactive as possible.
yeah, it's not they're imagining something, they're bringing something to your attention. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Ms. Overwater?
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet?
Aye.
Mr. Wade? Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Mayor McFarland?
Aye. Thanks, Lexi. All right, let's move to the Fourth Amendment to MTSU MOU. Ms. Smith.
Yes. Good afternoon, Council and Mayor.
Oh, you know.
Go into presentation mode here. Gonna work? Oh, wrong arrow. All right, before you is a request to renew the annual memorandum of understanding with MTSU, between the MTSU and the city. The MTSU helps us with education services and outreach. Their target audiences are the public, engineering development community, operators of stormwater controls, and businesses. They help us hold workshops, tabling events, and produce educational materials. We have monthly meetings with them to plan and evaluate activities, and the activities are documented by MTSU, and all of these education and outreach events help go towards and count towards our education requirements as required by our permit. The program has been in existence since 2012 for the first 10 years, and then we had a renewal of the Memorandum of Understanding in 2022. So this would be the fourth year that we have renewed the second Memorandum of Understanding. They bill us at $13,000 per quarter for about $52,000 per year, and we would request approval of the extension or renewal of this memorandum.
Any questions?
Just one question on the slide you've got here before council. I'm just curious how you got that picture of Matt Taylor there on the lower right playing on his phone.
I think it was luck.
It was just luck, okay.
See here? No.
Second.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Ms. Overwater?
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris?
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet?
Aye.
Mr. Wade? Mr. Wright?
Aye.
Mayor McFarland?
Aye. All right, let's move to 22, ADS Professional Services Contract. This is the First Amendment.
Yes. First Amendment to our agreement. These are typically 3-year contracts with ADS. It's a professional services contract. They maintain 19 flow monitors, sewer flow monitors, and 7 rain gauges. They provide a yearly capacity report after analyzing our summer data and our winter data. They also will provide temporary flow monitoring and field investigations for us. We budget around $350,000. Actually, this year is $350,000. We increased it a little bit. The contract this year is adjusted per the CPI index for the southern region, and for this type of service, it's only a 2.4% increase, and we would request approval. In your package, you see the pricing that they have provided for us, and we use that pricing for the field investigations, the permanent flow monitoring, and temporary up to the $350,000, and if we end up going over that, then we bring it to the board and council for approval. We would request approval of the amendment into year 2 of this 3-year contract.
Move for approval.
Motion and second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Saberwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gales Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wade. Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, let's move to item 23, Stones River Water Treatment Plant hypochlorite generation improvements.
Yes.
SSR to 2441009 Amendment 2.
Yes. So we are, the first task order and amendment was to study this Chlorotec system that you see in the picture. It is, typically the useful life of that is 15 years, and the system is now 17 years old. The first task order and amendment 1 was to study whether it would good to continue using that system and just continue to replace parts as necessary. A lot of the parts have become obsolete. Amendment 1, when we figured out that the parts were obsolete and knew that we needed to replacement, Amendment 1 was to study the different type of systems that would produce bleach, which disinfects the water, and we use it also to clean our membranes that filter the water, additionally filter the water at the plant. And Amendment 2 now, we studied in Amendment 1 several different systems, and the microchlor system, which is different from Chlorotec, we have decided is best used for our plant. And so Amendment 2 is in the amount of $270,000, $587, to design the replacement of the Chlorotec system with microchlor. The estimated construction costs on the project are a little over $2.2 million. So we would request approval of the task order amendment number 2 for the design of the replacement of this system.
That's when one goes down, the whole system doesn't anymore.
Well, right now, we have a dual system.
Right.
This, if one goes down, we do have a backup.
Right.
In this new system, it will be multiple redundancy. It'll be similar to this, but and you see 2 cells, 2 long cylinders, the new system is similar, but there are multiple cells, and if one of those cells goes down, it doesn't take the whole, I guess, rack of cells down. It's just that one individual cell and not the whole rack of cells.
That's what I thought. Move for approval.
Second.
Motion and second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Saberwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gales Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wade. Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Thank you, Valerie.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to item 24, Watson Console Monitor Component Upgrade. Chief Bowen.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. For your consideration this evening is the approval to purchase watching console monitor components. When we first built the police headquarters building and started building it in 2017, we installed Watson consoles to the dispatch workstations. We're currently doing a monitor upgrade, and what we'd like to do is add these racks, which will hold the monitors and improve the screen space available to the dispatchers, as well as improve ergonomics for the workstations. Total purchase price is $134,220, $131,500. This would be the funded through the FY26 CIP, and the remaining $2,720 would be provided for in the department's FY27 operating budget. I can answer any questions that you might have.
Second.
Motion and second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Saberwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gales Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, let's move to item 25, purchase of Vesta 911 command post from Motorola.
Yes, sir. For your consideration is a request to purchase Vesta 911 command post. Council originally approved the purchase of 2 command posts in April 2025. This purchase will add up to 3 additional command posts, which will complete our Vesta Command Post project, allowing up to 5 dispatchers to operate remotely in the event that the police building had to be evacuated. The total purchase price is $122,000, $122,714. $120,000 of that would be funded through the FY26 CIP, and the remaining $2,714 would be provided for in the department's FY27 operating budget. I can answer any questions that you might have.
Second.
Motion and second, please call the roll.
Ms. Saberwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, let's move to item 26, the real-time crime presentation, crime center presentation. Chief Bowen.
Yes, sir. I know there have been a lot of questions and discussions about the use of the technology in the Real-Time Crime Center. So what we've done is we've prepared a presentation showing the technologies that are being utilized, and we're also going to be available to answer questions. I think it's important, and I'm going to invite Ryan Lawrence up right now, and he's the director of the Real-Time Crime Center. So everything that's controlled as far as how we utilize the technology and the supervision of the staff in that center, here's the individual responsible for that. And I think it's just important that that he come up here, kind of discuss, answer questions. It's one thing to hear it from me, but it's another thing to hear it from the end user, the guy that's using it every day and who has his staff using it every day. And like I said, we'll have plenty of opportunity to answer any questions that may come up. So, Ryan.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. Get my presentation up here. Thank you, Chief Bowen, for the introduction. As he said, my name is Ryan Lawrence. I'm the supervisor of the Real-Time Crime Center and the Police Department's Crime Analysis Unit. I'm here tonight to talk to you about the core technologies that we utilize in the Crime Center, how we use them, and just to answer any questions you may have about their use. So just to give you a brief overview, the mission of the Crime Center is essentially twofold. Our goal is to provide real-time support to officers on the street as they respond to calls for service and active incidents. And it's also to provide investigative assistance to our Criminals Investigations Division. We provide information and intelligence as they investigate cases. We generate leads, and we also support them as they investigate those cases. Common types of incidents that the Crime Center may engage in include everything from hit and runs to homicides. We deal in a lot of different types of incidents, and the technology that we have and that we utilize can assist with all different types of crimes that may occur in the city. As you may know, the core technologies that we utilize in the Crime Center are the gunshot detection system, our public safety cameras, as well as license plate readers. And each one of them serves a different purpose, but together they help us to address crime in our city. So I'll provide a brief overview of each one. The primary purpose of our gunshot detection system is to detect potential gunfire and provide real-time alerts to Crime Center personnel, our dispatchers, as well as our patrol officers. They provide a 5-second audio snippet when it does detect gunfire. So any user that receives that alert in real time can listen to that audio clip. And this essentially helps us to improve our response to incidents that involve gunshots. It provides a more precise response zone for our patrol officers, which can be a tremendous assistance as you respond to shots fired, because oftentimes, instead of having to canvass a multi-block area, now you have a very small radius to search for shell casings. In many incidents, we've actually responded to the response zone that was been provided by the system and picked up shell casings in the middle of that area. We also can respond quicker to assess injuries, provide medical care when needed, recover and preserve critical evidence like shell casings that we can then use to link to other incidents where guns were discharged. And we can also identify suspects and suspect vehicles that were in the immediate area. Just want to clarify what it does not do. It does not provide any continuous audio recording. As I said, the only thing that we ever receive on the end user side is that 5-second snippet of gunfire. Any data that's not retained for an investigation is deleted after 30 days automatically and permanently. It can also not be tapped into for any type of live audience surveillance. So if you have one that's deployed underneath next to a bus stop, us in the Crime Center can't tap into that and listen to conversations or anything like that. Our public safety cameras, they were deployed based on several years of violent crime data and identified areas of need across the city. Essentially, they provide our Crime Center personnel with real-time situational awareness during active calls, and they also provide valuable leads, information, and intelligence during our criminal investigations. They provide 24/7 loop recorded footage, and that data is also retained for 30 days unless it is being retained as part of an active investigation. The access to those public safety cameras are restricted to Crime Center personnel only, both live and recorded footage. The Crime Center personnel, there's 8 of us total, including myself, are the only ones that can access that footage, which I will say is a significant departure from most other agencies. And that system is fully auditable as well. And now the one that I would say gets the most attention are license plate readers. So in essence, they capture still, I say moment in time images of vehicles that are on public roadways. They also capture the license plate and, when possible, vehicle characteristics like make, model, color. They provide real-time alerts as well for reasons such as stolen vehicles, stolen plates, missing people, missing children, vehicles that are connected to individuals with active warrants, as well as individuals that are entered into any department hot lists that are subjects of an active criminal investigation. In sum, LPRs are there to generate valuable leads, information, and intelligence during our criminal investigations. Just like with the public safety cameras, there is 30-day retention across all of our LPR systems. State law would allow us to keep it for 90. We cap it at 30. That data is automatically, permanently deleted after 30 days. It's no longer accessible to us or anybody else. Again, just like with public safety cameras, LPR is limited search access. We're an agency of over, I believe, 300 sworn officers now. There's 8 people in Murfreesboro Police Department that can search license plate readers. A valid search reason and an offense type is required for every single LPR search, and that search is retained indefinitely. The system is highly auditable. When it comes to hot list alerts, human verification is required prior to any enforcement action. So if an officer receives a hot list alert for a stolen vehicle from the National Crime Information Center, NCIC, that officer has to make visual contact with that vehicle, verify that the read was correct, verify it's still actively stolen with dispatch before they can take enforcement action. You've heard what they do. I also want to briefly explain what they don't do. LPRs do not use facial recognition. They cannot and do not identify vehicle occupants. MPD's LPR systems do not collect any personal identifiable information, names, addresses, social security numbers. They're not connected to any systems that provide that type of information. Again, all data is automatically deleted after 30 days. Tennessee state law allows for 90. We cap it at 30. Again, limited user search access, 8 individuals. Search justification is required, and every search is reviewed and audited for legitimacy. Numerous appellate and federal courts have upheld the use of LPR evidence as constitutional. License plates are government-issued identifiers and are legally required to be publicly visible. And data captured by MPD LPRs are not sold to third parties. Also, we do share with other agencies. A complete list of the other law enforcement agencies with which we share data from our LPR system is available on our Transparency portal. You can find a link to the Transparency portal on our Real-Time Crime Center webpage. Beyond that, the Crime Center, just through the first quarter of 2026, has had 652 operational successes. An example of a success could be anything from locating or identifying a suspect vehicle, identifying a suspect, generating investigative leads, supporting our officers during an active incident. We've also cleared 140 cases by arrest or by other means. And when I say we assisted with it, it's a direct result of the technology that I've talked to you about here tonight. These cases are prime examples of operational efficiency, improving our case solvability and force multiplication for our department. And we've also assisted with the arrest of 129 wanted persons, and these are persons with active warrants at the time of their arrest. Beyond just numbers, they've had a tremendous impact in our community. We've had several recent successes, several with news stories attached to them as well. You may have heard LPR has helped to break up a retail theft ring, multiple retail theft rings actually recently, specifically one targeting local retailers. 3 were arrested, charged with organized retail theft. The Loomis Armis truck robbery, both suspects in that case have been arrested and are now facing multiple charges. And that case was solved with the assistance of LPR and public safety camera. We worked closely with our patrol division and our criminal investigations division throughout that case to identify those suspects. The next day, there was an armed robbery at Murfreesboro Tobacco and Vape. Public safety cameras and LPRs helped to identify a suspect vehicle. All 3 of those suspects were arrested within hours of the robbery. Recently, we had 2 commercial burglaries, 2 Black Frog Arms and Mid-10 Pawn and Loan. Public safety cameras and LPRs generated investigative leads, identified multiple suspect vehicles, and that has now led to the arrest of multiple suspects and recovery of over a dozen stolen firearms. And most recently on Rushwood Drive, there was a drive-by shooting, attempted homicide. Our gunshot detection system provided an alert to our officers, even though no one called 911. They quickly responded to the residents, the approximate location of those gunshots that they were provided. They located property damage to a home, shell casings in the street. Ultimately, we utilized public safety cameras and LPRs to arrest the 3 suspects, with 2 of those now facing attempted first-degree murder charges. Ultimately, these different technologies that we utilize, questions from the public about privacy and transparency are understandable. Ultimately, these technologies, they help us to generate leads, solve cases, improve public safety outcomes. They made a tremendous difference in our community. I'm happy to answer any questions at this time.
The question that we received in public comment was who audits the system?
I do.
Hey, ma'am. Sorry. Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. No, we're glad you're here. We can't have, yeah, that's okay. So I will say the question is who audits you?
Chief Bowen.
Okay. So checks and balances are very stringent and in place, Chief Bowen?
Yeah, and I don't want to mislead you with the me auditing him. I don't go check Ryan's books, but there is a level of trust that's given to Ryan. There's policies and procedures that he is expected to follow. And he, with his updates and with the documentation he shows, he's demonstrating that we are being compliant with our policies and that we are being strict on how we manage this information. He said it earlier. Right now, 8 people have access to. I can't do a query. I don't even know how to log in the system. If I needed information, I would have to go to him or one of his staff members and get it. We have that information locked down. And I can tell you in a lot of agencies, we're budgeted for 361 officers after this next FY. A lot of agencies, every officer would have access. From the beginning, we have been very careful on how we provide access to that information, and that's something we're committed to.
Brian, I mean, that's a great presentation. I'd love to get a copy of it. I had to guess it's probably already posted or somewhere up on the city's website, but you were kind enough to send me some data in terms of the successes from 24, 25, 26. And when you showed those numbers now, I think you're selling yourself short if you don't talk about the trend from 24 to 25 to 26, because total successes was 403 in 24, 791 in 25.
Yes, sir.
And then the data through March 31st, that's what those numbers were, 652. So it's truly, to your point, it's a force multiplier. It's help and save detectives' time, officers' time, as measured by the total successes. Look at the total cases cleared. 202 in 24, 264 in 25, 140 in 26 through March 31st. So again, great success at clearing cases. And arrests generated, 87 in 24, 175 in 25, and 129, to your point, through March 31st. So y'all are doing an outstanding job. I'm glad to hear that there's 8 that have access to it. I'm glad to hear that, the chief audits you, and I'm just glad those controls are in place, because as you pointed out, in other agencies, when they're not in place, that's when, bad things can happen, which has not happened here in Murfreesboro due to the oversight and the controls in place. So that's all I got.
Chief, I just have one question, and I'll ask you. You've been in our police force for over 30 years now, and the city of Murfreesboro in that time, we've grown from just over the last 10 years, 200 officers to 360, what was the number?
361.
So, and part of that was the city council that's not just funding officers, but we're funding equipment. And so some of the data that you shared, our 5-year average on theft in vehicles, it was running about 195 a year. It was the average over a 5-year period. Last year, our theft from vehicles went down to 69 total in the entire city. Our stolen vehicles 5-year average was 97, and last year it was 40, 2026, 40. So that was down over half. We have all gotten complaints at our trailheads, for example, at our greenways, where there was at one point, I would say, a ring that people were going around and breaking into people's cars at our trailheads. The council has installed cameras at our trailheads. So my question is, do you see this, knowing that we all want to protect the residents' constitutional rights and make sure that we do not infringe on those, do you see this as a valuable way to keep Murfreesboro residents safe?
Absolutely. Absolutely, without question. And I've spent most of my life working for this agency. And the desire, you don't serve a community this long and not have a desire to do what's right in addressing crime issues, but also taking other people's considerations, their concerns into consideration. And I think that we are doing that. I think we're saying, hey, we understand that there's privacy concerns, and that's something that we're willing to work with. I can tell you, when we were setting up some of this equipment, I remember Ryan having some complaints about the location of particular pieces of equipment. He worked with residents to say, all right, we can see if we can move this, maybe not directly in your front yard. So we've been sensitive to communities' requests, their concerns, and I think we'll continue to be that way. But at the end of the day, the ability to provide information to our investigators to where they can get out and solve these crimes and get some of these, especially these violent individuals off the street. I don't know of a better way to do it than to use this technology.
Council members, that leads into item 27, where we have a contract with Flock Group for Raven gunshot detection. Chief.
Yes, sir. For your consideration is a request to approve the contract for Raven gunshot detection from Flock. Council approved the purchase of the Raven gunshot detection system in January 2024. This system has proven to be beneficial to law enforcement and real-time crime center. The contract will extend our service for an additional 2 years for a total cost of $243,898. The first installment of $131,398 is provided for in the department's FY27 operating budget. The second installment of $112,500 will be budgeted accordingly in the department's FY28 operating budget. And this is the gunshot detection technology. It's not the LPR technology. It's just solely used for detecting the sounds that fit within the thresholds of a gunshot. And I think currently we're covering how many square miles, Ryan? 5. So when you look at the size of Murfreesboro, this system is essentially in place in 5 square miles of Murfreesboro's 60-something square miles. So small footprint based on violent crime and just past trends as far as gunshot-related incidents.
Second.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Saberwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wade. Mr. Wright. Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation.
Yes, sir, and I would like to add that Ryan and myself have been available, so anybody watching this council meeting that has questions that want to call either of us directly, we're willing to talk and discuss about any concerns that individuals might have. And like I said, we're not hiding anything. We're just willing to be open and to discuss the issues and concerns that people have.
And Chief, I would say this as well, and I think the council has seen this. We see the side of exactly what you just said, that if council members ask questions, have concerns, your entire department is always open, available to be able to answer those. We do not get stonewalled. If we have a question, you always answer that. And so I want to make sure that the residents listen to that, that if you do have questions from our police department team, they are there to be able to answer those questions. So thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Mayor, could I? Let me,
Yes, sir.
Just a comment. Last fall, we did a Citizens Academy, and we went to the police department. And Ryan, you did an excellent job of. So the opportunity to find, to get behind the curtain and to kind of see what happens there, it's a remarkable job that they do, and I really appreciate that effort that you did last fall. But accessibility to the information. If you have concerns, ask somebody, and now you see the people before you who you need to ask. So just one quick question, though. What would be the next step of improving or doing this job even better? Can you speak to that just a minute, you or Ryan, either one?
Yeah, so we've discussed that, and I think that we're kind of, we didn't put any additional equipment in. You're talking about as far as expanding the center. Right. I think that we're in a good place right now, and I don't think we added anything to expand beyond what we currently have. And I think that it's like anything. If 10 years ago you would have told me we'd be up here discussing this technology, I'd be like, yeah, no way. But I think it's just, I think the future, there's a lot of unknowns. I mean, I know that there's technologies we're using in other ways and unrelated to the Real-Time Crime Center. We're part of a test group looking at rapid DNA testing. And so those are things I would have never imagined that we would be doing. So right now, I think we're in a good position with what we have, and I think we're going to continue to work with what we have, with your approval, of course, and then just see what the future brings as far as technology and improvements.
Well, it's a partnership between just the agency, the police department, the council, and our citizens. And citizens, you have a big part in making this effective, holding people accountable and asking the questions that you need to ask. That's part of the process, working together. We're not adversaries, we're partners. And as a citizen, you did your job tonight, come and spoke to us. And if you have questions now, you know who to talk to about. And that's part of the process, is that citizens' involvement makes that decision even better and sustainable over a longer period of time. And fortunately, I think our community has competent, caring professionals in these roles that are trying to do a good job. And I just encourage everybody to assume the best in each other as opposed to the worst. Sometimes we read something in the paper from another part of the country, and it's easy to get a cynical kind of perspective. But find out what's happening in your community first, and that would be an effective way to be an effective voice, to make something better. Because that's what you want to do anyway. All of us want to make it better. But anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Chief. All right, you've got board and commission appointments. These are actually two reappointments. Dr. Bonner and Mr. Charlie Montgomery want to serve again, and then also Mr. Casey Brown, who just was appointed to the Parks and Recreation Commission. This is a extension of that term. I think he's only served 3 weeks or 4 weeks. So,
Second.
Motion is second. Please call the roll.
Ms. Saberwater.
Aye.
Ms. Gels Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wade. Aye. Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. All right, you have a legal fee bill to be paid.
We have one statement tonight for legal fees for $84,531.55.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Wait.
Oh, sorry.
I don't care.
Sorry. Please call the roll. Please call the roll.
Ms. Saberwater.
Aye.
Ms. Scales Harris.
Aye.
Mr. Maxwell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Shacklet.
Aye.
Mr. Wade.
Aye.
Mr. Wright.
Aye.
Mayor McFarland.
Aye. Miss McGannon would pass out if she saw us do that on TV. Any other business from staff?
No, sir. Not that I'm aware of.
All right. Any other business from council?
Got the Juneteenth celebration at Bradley Academy from 10 to 4, Saturday.
Saturday. Okay.
Saturday.
All right. All right.
We meet next Thursday. What's this?
25th.
Yeah.
We're off next Thursday. We'll be back
July 2nd.
July 2nd and July 9th.
Okay.
The workshop.
Oh, there is a Hall of Fame for the, at Murfreesboro City Schools. The Hall of Fame is it's next Thursday at 5, is it? At 5 o'clock at Central Office in the Linda Gilbert room there. So come, there's some really special teachers being recognized. So I'm sure the council's invited. So.
July 1 Joint Conceptual Workshop is going to be conducted as well.
Okay. All right. If there's no, this is the first meeting that I've not, there's no gavel here. So this is a.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have it over here.
Okay. Well,
I had to
would you,
set it
would
up.
you mind adjourning the
Sure.
so we'll stand adjourned.
Look at that. Let's get a photo of that.
What a power.
Look at the power.